Man, this guy 4 strings, you know I'm supposed to know how to do that. You need another bass guitar, you need 2.
Yeah, no.
You like the Rajan roller coaster bass guitar. You're playing 2 at the same time.
Yes, like a couple hours ago. Yes,
Rich.
I was about to say, don't leave me hanging now. All right, thanks. Man, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for that play-in right there. That was awesome. I really was awesome. I really enjoyed that. How did you feel playing it?
Like I feel playing everything else. It's the funnest thing I do any time of the day.
Yeah, and how did that hot seat feel up there? I mean, was it? We call it the hot seat, but
It's called the hot seat for a reason. You know, there's no question about it.
yeah, okay. And you weren't nervous or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's gonna be funny to us when we watched it. All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us once again another Detroit bass player. Could you give us your name, sir?
Sure, it's Paul Anstett.
And how you spell that, man?
A-N-S-T-E-T-T.
Man, thanks for joining us here at the Bass Round Table, December 15th,
2012.
2012. Before the world ends, we had to get one more. we had to get one more round table in the house, and thanks to Reggie for putting this together, man. If you got some questions, Reg, for this fine bass player, please chime in. We also got other bass players in here. If y'all hear those little clickety clacks in the background, those are 30, 40, 50 gauge strings. Some flat, some nickel. Also helping us out with this, we got a couple of bass players here. What's up, Tony? We got Tony Horton over here. He's chiming in and come and hang out with us. Another bass player that don't have a bass in his hand. I'm ashamed of you, man. I'm just ashamed.
I go get a broomstick and a tub.
Exactly. That's what, you know, they used to play those at one time. Also, next to Reggie, on Reggie's right, is my man. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us, man. Any questions you have for this fine bassist, please join us. And also, we have with us in the house the Willis family. And starting from that, from my left, from my right, we got Benny Nicole, the real bass player in the family.
Chris, the next bass player.
All right, so we also have assisting us on Paul's interview is Mr.
John Sargent.
We also have
Dom X.
and
Paul Voorhees.
Paul, another Paul, and
Kyle Lawson.
over there we got some more bass players sitting over there by the drinks. My man Rich Page, and we hanging out at the Stardust. We got another bass player way over there, and somebody taking pictures, and another bass player way over there eating. It's bass players all up in here, and we just hanging out, talking. So we sitting there with Paul, man. You know the first question I always like to ask is, when did you start playing the bass, and why?
I started playing when I was 15. The and why part is really weird. I was actually at the Fisher Theater waiting to see Annie with my parents, and they were playing Elvis music in the lobby, and I was sitting there listening to Elvis, and it just occurred to me, like, it would be really cool to play the bass. I can't tell you, like, why that thought occurred to me at the time, but I went from there. I had a really good buddy of mine in high school who was taking guitar lessons, and the guy that he was taking lessons from also taught bass lessons. So I went down to Hamill Music with him in Livonia and started taking lessons. Started taking lessons from Rich Kovalevsky. back when he was there.
Wow, that's an awesome story. I could, when you had me hooked when you said Annie, I was like, how in the heck, how's the Annie gonna come to bass?
I don't really can't explain it either. That's the story. That's where I was when I had that kind of that aha moment, you know.
A DVP member when you went to see Andy down there. John Beatman was in the pit
Oh yeah, okay.
for Andy at the Fisher Theater.
So a Detroit bass player was in the pit playing for Annie while he probably was in the lobby and Elvis told him to play bass.
Yeah, waiting to get in. And they were playing Elvis.
Awesome, man. And speaking of bass, what is that you have in your hand, man?
This is a 1989 Fender Power. It's called a Power Jazz Bass Special. It's active electronics, and this is actually. You can't tell under these lights, but this thing is actually pink. It was actually a lot hotter color of pink when I first bought it.
It looks red.
Yeah, it does look red. It's kind of mellowed to a red color over the years, but when I bought it, it was hot pink. And believe me, I've taken a lot of crap for playing this bass over the years. I can't even lie about it.
Well,
but this was one of those situations where I walked into a music store, I picked this thing up, and I was like, damn, this thing plays itself. It just felt so perfect. And the price was right. It was only $350. I had to have it.
Right.
So, you know.
Real men can play pink basses.
Apparently we can.
Yeah, now if you put some sparkles on there, you can still play it. You said play itself.
Well, I always thought that it reminded me of a Good and Plenty box because of the black and the pink. It always reminded me of Good and Plenty.
Charlie says.
Yeah.
Love my good.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting story about your bass, man. Who are some of your favorite basses coming up and through the years playing around?
I started out learning like Beatles songs, Paul McCartney bass lines, and lots of Led Zeppelin bass lines. And then, when I started playing in the late 70s and the early 80s, there was kind of this little blues revival thing going on. I started getting into blues guys, Eric Clapton and those guys, and George Thorogood was just broken at the time, and he was real big, and he was playing that bottleneck style, and I remember taking a cassette to my teacher and saying, I'd really like to learn this bass line to this song, and it was just a George Thorogood 12-bar blues song, And he wrote it, and Rich was really cool about it. He wrote out a bass line for me and said, go home and learn this. And that was when I had that real aha moment, because we had already learned scales, and I was already learning major scales, but this is the first time I learned a walking bass line over like a 12-bar blues progression. And I started to hear those notes and figure out how the whole thing locked together, and it all made so much sense to me at the time. And that was like, from then on, I was hooked. Once I figured that out, man, I was hooked.
Well, who's some of the cats that inspired you on bass?
Over the years, I've really enjoyed guys like Geddy Lee from Rush, Chris Squire from Yes, and even the guys that played with like George Thorogood, and the guys that played with a little bit later, Tommy Shannon, who played with Stevie Ray Vaughan's band. Another really good blues bass player, and then guys like I listened to a lot of other guys like Patitucci later on, Jocko and Stanley, and those guys I got really into for a while, and John Entwistle from The Who, by far, probably the guy that I enjoy listening to the most over the years.
Okay, so what kind of music do you? Are you playing with anybody? What's going on musically with you, basically?
Over the years I've played in all kinds of different bands, bar bands, wedding bands, that kind of stuff. Right now I'm playing in a country band called All Wheel Drive. We play around town, mostly West Side.
I like that name.
And then I'm playing in just another general cover band. We just started it out. Doesn't even have a name yet, but we're into our third set of music, so I'm not sure how that thing's going to pan out. But we'll be out playing probably after the first band.
Okay, and what's the name again?
I don't know what the name of that band is going to be yet. You know, we haven't got that far.
Okay, that's a long title. I don't know what the name of that band is going to be yet, but we haven't got that far. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Like, I didn't really want to keep you, man. You know, man, everybody got things to do, places to go. And so before we let you out, anybody got any questions for this fine bassist?
I have a question, just a statement. I thought it was very interesting. You're in the lobby and you're listening to Elvis and how the bass just stood out to you. And that's what you honed in on. Everybody else either wants to sing or maybe play guitar like Scotty Moore did. He had that special design, 3 pickup Super 400. But you chose the bass. And if I'm not mistaken, back then that was a doghouse. That wasn't electric bass.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely.
But the fact that that instrument stood out, you say, hey, I want to play this. It would be cool to play that. I find that shows that this is fit for you.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
you're fit for him. Either way. You know.
Do you remember what song it was?
No, I don't know. It's funny, I don't remember what song.
Wasn't Hound Dog or nothing like that?
Do you
Might have
remember?
been.
Do you remember the first song you ever played?
The first song I ever learned was Day Tripper by the Beatles. And it's funny too because that's still the song, like after I tune, I'll play that just to make sure that I'm in tune. Like, you know, because it covers all 4 strings. So, you know, and the intervals are there. So yeah.
That is
Day
awesome.
Tripper.
Does Paul McCartney play that whole line in the beginning?
I think so.
Is that right? Okay. Wow. All right.
Okay, well, anybody else got any questions for this fine bassist? How about, do you have any questions for any of these fine bassists, Paul?
Gosh.
That's the first time I ever asked that question.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no.
All right, well,
I'm gonna have to bail on that one.
okay, before,
Music, I'm all right.
No, but I'm really glad I got a chance to be here, just to have a chance to talk to all these guys, you know, one-on-one, and sit down, you know, play around with some of the different basses that everybody bought. Just, that's been a really cool opportunity.
and we glad to have you as one of, I think we somewhere near 100 interviews now, man. So all you bass players from the Detroit area, passing through Detroit, man, give Reggie Canty a call, give me a call, give us a text or anything. We want to interview you, even if you just started playing or you've been playing as long as I have, which is like over close to 40, somewhere around 40 years, I don't know. But give us a call, come and hang out with us, man. We love doing this. We try to do every single bass player in the world. It's such a beautiful thing. Paul just shed a tear. So, all right, so could you play us something out, man?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul
Anstett.
Anstett.
Paul Anstett. Yep.
Play this out.